Hey everyone, my guest today is Mike Kucharski. Mike is the co owner and vice president of one of America's largest refrigerated trucking companies, JKC Trucking. He has spent his entire career of over 30 years there and is an expert in the industry. JKC Trucking is based out of Chicago, Illinois, and for more than 30 years, JKC has specialized in moving temperature sensitive freight such as fresh produce, meat, dairy products, beverages, candy and chocolates, and more. Welcome to the show, Mike. Thank you for coming in.
Samantha, thank you for having me on your show.
Yes. All right. I was wondering if you could talk to me about your business
Mhm.
and how some of these environmental policies affect it.
Yeah, so what we do is the name of our company is JKC Trucking, and we specialize in LTL, which means less than truckload. So we take anything from like a pallet or a box, half a truck, anything you have. We go from the Midwest to the West Coast. We have two terminals in California, one in Northern California, which is Stockton, and then we have one in Southern California, which is Santa Fe Springs, East LA. And then we go back from the West Coast back to the Midwest. We do have service into the Southeast, Florida and Georgia. And yeah, we do a whole bunch of things. Mostly our business is frozen, perishables, anything frozen, refrigerated. We do fresh produce, anything you protect from
Okay.
heat, protect from freezing, all food products. That's what we haul.
Okay. Sounds good. So you're on a bit of a time constraint with that, aren't you?
Yeah, so the problem is that this EV truck mandate is how's this? First of all, I just want to say I support green energy, but this new
Hmm.
mandate is based on brand new technology. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And it's extremely frustrating because I don't agree with the EPA because these regulations are not practical. You know what I mean? Banning diesels right now is impractical, impossible. Because just to start is just give you an idea. The reason we haven't moved away from diesels is we haven't found another fuel to transition to replace diesel. A lot of diesel engines cause a lot of torque, and we need torque to pull these loads through the mountains, through
Yeah.
deserts, etc. And that's the thing. You mean how's this? I do like electric trucks. You know what I mean? I think my favorite would be, you know what I mean, having a hybrid truck. And
Hmm.
I'll explain that a little bit later. But you know what I mean, how's this? There's Buying these diesels will be impractical and impossible for five reasons. Let me give you the first one. Number one,
Okay.
costs. For a
Yeah.
new clean diesel long haul tractor, typical cost about 180,000 around there right now. It was up to 200,000, and a comparable battery electric tractor costs upwards of, I want to say, so 480,000 somewhere
Oh.
there. It's about $300,000 upcharge. It's cost prohibitive and overwhelming for majority of motor carriers. More
Hmm.
than, just to give you an idea, more than 95% of trucking companies are small businesses, operating 10 or fewer trucks. I mean, complying with these mandates would, push many carriers out of business, and probably tighten
Yeah.
capacity nationwide. I mean, two, infrastructure. The power grid is not ready. We don't have enough charging
Yeah.
stations for these trucks. Three, testing and data, is being done now. Example, how will this work in extreme cold? How will it work in elevations?
Yes.
How will it look to the desert? Death Valley, it was 130 degrees. If this technology fails, the entire supply chain will be dead in the water. Failure is not merely inconvenience, it's going to be catastrophic. I would say this is not an option, especially for the food supply chain of
Hmm.
America.
Yeah.
My point number four is driving range, or I like to call it range anxiety. We are long distance truckers, and long distance truck driving range for electric trucks is not practical. I think they just got the Tesla got Tesla just got done testing some trucks in Northern California. I think the best they did was 300 miles. I mean,
Yeah.
my drivers here are making 500 to 700 miles a day. And just to give you an idea, Samantha, if you and I just jumped in the truck today here in Chicago and we started going to California, we wouldn't
Yeah.
make out of the state before we would have to recharge. And then recharging
Right.
is 8 to 12 hours, um, which would slow down the supply chain tremendously. And then number five, nobody wants to talk about, is to be less cargo capacity due to the weight of the batteries. The batteries are, I want to say, about 8,000 pounds each, and we
Hmm.
need two of them, so it'd be 16,000 pounds. This is called less this will cause less goods and less food to be delivered to the American people, unless the federal motor carrier says, "Hey, listen, we're going to up the weight on the roads that the trucks could go over the roads." And one of the reasons is that we have a weight limit is on these roads is so we don't destroy them. Because
Yeah.
if the trucks are heavy, we'll mess up the roads either further more than they are right now.
Hmm.
So a couple things would have to change.
Yeah. I think a lot of people don't think about that there are different types of road or materials that you can use that are okay for different weights. Like my brother-in-law, he was doing auto body and started painting parts for a railroad,
Mm-hmm.
and those parts were so heavy that he had to repave his drive. He was doing it out of his own home. He
Oh,
had to
well.
repave everything because he couldn't take those parts onto your normal driveway. It's that's just one small thing to consider that a lot of people never even think about.
Correct. In theory, it sounds great, but
Hmm.
when it comes to reality, there's going to be changes and obstacles. And just to give you one more thing idea, when we fuel our trucks, we're taking about 300 gallons, right? And then
Hmm.
every gallon we burn is about, I want to say, 7 pounds. So when we're traveling across
Okay.
the road and we're burning this fuel, our trucks are getting a little bit lighter, and we're getting a little better fuel mileage along the way. With electric batteries, that's not going to be the case because and correct me if I'm wrong, fully charged battery or a completely empty charged battery is the same weight.
Right.
Last time I checked.
Yes. Yeah, and then a lot of times with environmental regulation, it like you said, it's good in theory. You want to support ideas that support the environment, but when you look at the cost that's going to be involved in not only just switching over to that new thing, but all the other environmental factors, as well as making these batteries, it takes a lot of energy to make these batteries. So it's been a while since I was in my environmental science class, but like maybe 10 years ago, I do remember this one thing that no one ever talks about, that in when you're getting these electric cars, you're 70,000 miles behind on your environmental impact. So you have to drive these cars for over 70,000 miles before you're starting to make a difference. I have no idea how long the batteries last, and those are for cars. So for trucks, how long are those batteries going to last, and how many thousands of miles are you behind just to get the truck made with that battery? Is it
That
really going to have a positive impact on the environment at all?
You mean
You know,
houses? Yeah. So that's a great question. I'm glad you brought this point up because houses, there's a balance, right?
mhm,
What we have to do so much damage right now it's for it to be better in the future, and how's that going to come out to? And yeah, these batteries are lithium right now, and I would say
okay.
lithium batteries are not the best right now for trucks because, and why I say this, because we have this right now. Our biggest issue with our main batteries that we have on our trucks, the way to kill a battery is with extreme heat or extreme cold. That's where you kill a battery, and lithium batteries are follow the same parameters. So when we're going through minus when it's minus 50 windshield in Montana, or it's 130 degrees in Las Vegas at nighttime at midnight, that is going to have a huge effect on the battery.
Mhm,
How's this? It could happen. We would have to get a better battery. And how's this? And it could happen that we get a miracle and we get some like super advanced technology, like from the Terminator movie, that we could charge a battery up in 30 minutes and it'll drive 2,000 miles, and the cold and heat won't affect it. But we haven't gotten there yet.
yeah,
How's this? Honestly, I haven't drove an electric truck yet. I've seen
okay.
one here being tested. It's funny because I asked my salesman at the Volvo dealer, how many electric trucks have you sold? And he said, I only sold one. And I was like,
Mhm,
wow, one in Chicagoland area. Chicago is a very big city. It's one of the biggest hubs for transportation. And that
yeah,
somebody ordered one electric truck, kind of, I'm scratching my head here thinking, hey, what's going on here? Why only one?
yeah. Yeah, I think people are afraid that they're gonna sink money into something that's not going to turn out the way they're hoping it.
And
Yeah.
another idea, just to give you an idea, when a trucker buys a truck, the lifespan is about, it takes about 5 years to pay off the truck, right? And then you
Okay.
have a couple years of profits that you make some money, and then you kind of start all over the whole process again. So on average, all the local truck drivers, you buy your own truck if you're an independent driver. It's about 5 years. In my business also, it takes 5 years to pay off the truck. But by the time you pay off the truck, you have a little bit more life. Then you have to trade it in for a new truck because that truck is tired. The maintenance is going to kill you. And so that was about 180,000, and these trucks are going to be about $500,000. How's the question? Yeah, that's a good question, because what is longevity? Will this truck last 5 years? Will it last 20 years? Will
Yeah.
it last 3 years? And then and how's all this technology is new, so it's going to be constantly changing. So how's this? Even if they make the best truck this year, next year they're going to come up with a better option solution. So yes, is it worth changing? That's the real question.
Yeah. Yeah. And then especially if you're transporting items like perishables, I live in Iowa, so I understand the cold. I know your car's not going to start some days if it's too cold and your car it's not parked in the garage, because
Correct.
it's rough on it, And I also order fish for my aquarium from Florida, and if there was a 12-hour delay because they had to charge and couldn't find a charging station, those live fish would run out of oxygen. They would die. And I understand I'm being risky by ordering from Florida, but that's what I want to do. But the same could be said for produce. How many times would you have to stop to recharge if you were shipping produce from or frozen shrimp or any other perishable?
No, it was a great question, because I've been just talking about the truck itself, but
Uh-huh.
on our trailers we have a refrigerated unit on the front of it, and it also runs on diesel. It cools and heats
Yeah.
up the product inside. So if we'd be hauling fish, it would keep them warm in the wintertime, or we would keep them frozen if it's summertime. And that unit also runs on diesel. So if they're gonna get rid of the
Yeah.
diesels for the trucks, I assume they're gonna get rid of them for the reefer refrigeration units. That's going to be a question, because that technology is way more even newer. And how long is it going to last? Let's say we have perishables. Let's say I have a truckload of strawberries or berries that's worth over
Mhm.
$100,000, and we can't charge somewhere because like you said, we'll be stuck in Iowa because there'll be a snowstorm or something like this. Not enough charging stations. We run out of energy. We're going to freeze those strawberries. They're going to be garbage, especially fresh strawberries. It's a give and take. And
Yeah.
I was just another thing is we have to look at is how the whole world runs on diesel. The containers all run on diesel that they ship on the ships. Everything's run on diesel. So even if we change here in the US, the rest of the world has to change to cause that impact. If they won't
Yeah.
change, it's just gonna be drop of water in the bucket.
Yeah.
I don't see too many. I can't see it making a huge impact, or even making a dent, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good point with what other countries are doing. So the Paris Climate Accord, Trump removed us from that during the first administration. Biden put us back in. But it actually takes years for you to be officially removed. And then to get back in. So I don't think the US is part of it anymore now that Trump's back in office. It's hard to like really keep up, since it's not like we just withdrew today and we're done with it. There's a process. But anyways, there was I was learning that different countries want different things. So like China, they want harsh punishment for not meeting the goals that you've set within the Paris Climate Accord. Yet they don't want any sort of mechanism to check up on you to make sure that you're doing it. So it's like, oh, sure, we'll just say that we're. So to me, that tells me that China has no intentions of helping the climate. They just want to look like they're doing it.
Correct. How's this? If you're going to say that you're going to do it and not do it, what's the point, right?
Yeah.
And it's we could all say, hey, we all want to do it and not do it. Look the other way. Nothing's going to happen. What was the whole point of this? And I'm glad you brought up China, because China is a huge diesel producer, and there I don't see no electric trucks in China. I know they're producing electric cars, but I
Mhm.
haven't seen one electric truck coming out of China. I haven't seen, them preparing for the grid. And there's so many people there. We're short here on energy in America. I can't imagine how short they are in energy in
Yeah.
China.
Yeah. So where I'm at, I can think of maybe one charging station within a 30-mile radius or larger. So that's the other thing, is not not everyone's going to have that available. I mean, and also I'm concerned about these small town areas, these small businesses, where suddenly now we've got to build charging stations. Now suddenly these cities that maybe don't have a lot of money to go around are, going to have to find a place and find somebody who can build these. I don't know a single mechanic around the area that works on electric vehicles. I probably have only seen 3 electric vehicles in my whole area this year. And I'd love to stop them and ask, "Hey, how's that Tesla working out for you? Did you have a good winter?" Like, I'm genuinely curious as to how this is all going to work here.
You mean I've just to give you an idea, right now, currently, right now, when the trucks park at nighttime, we don't have enough truck parking for truckers right now, get
Mm-hmm.
alone making charging stations. These poor
Yeah.
truckers have to sleep on side roads, off ramps, everywhere they can, because truck stops get full at nighttime. They have to shut down because of hours of service. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, where are we going to do this? And then let's say we do find a designated area and we do build all these charging stations. Where are we going to get the infrastructure to run this? Because so I was just, with my research, and correct me if I'm wrong, it was showing that one electric truck, if you charge overnight, it consumes like over 100, consumes the same power as over 100 homes at nighttime, which is a lot,
Gosh.
you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how we're going to run the grid, the homes, and all electric trucks? I
Yeah.
mean, that's my question.
Yeah. We lose power in the winter here all the time too. And so I mean, I just don't know. I don't know how it's manageable, honestly.
I'm going to tell you a real thing. I have this article that I was Andrew Boyle of Boyle Transportation he is one of the main guys in the American Trucking Association, and
Okay.
he went to Washington to testify before a Senate Environmental Public Works Subcommittee on the future of clean vehicles, and he gave an example of after only one trucking company tried to electrify just 30 trucks at a terminal in Joliet, Illinois, which is not too far from here.
Mm-hmm.
Local officials shut those plans down. I believe the mayor went in there and saying that they would draw more electricity than is needed to power those 30 trucks than the entire city. So I was
Oh
just
my
30 trucks.
gosh.
You would think that's not a big deal, right? But it'd be the little town saying, "Hey, you're going to draw way too much electricity, more than we're consuming for a big town." And Joliet is not a small town.
Yeah.
That is kind of scary, and my other question is, how are the good people in California going to do it? Because their grid has been overwhelmed the last 2-3 summers. They've been literally
Mm-hmm.
going on the news saying, "Hey, don't plug in your electric car, don't do your laundry, don't turn down your thermostat." You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
almost sounds like you're a prisoner in California, and this is the
Yeah.
news. This is a fact. How I have to guesstimate there's probably 3 million trucks in California. How we're going to plug those suckers in and charge them
Yeah.
overnight?
Right. Yeah. It's, I don't know. It's so weird that the people struggling to maintain their energy grid are the ones really pushing for more electric run things.
You mean maybe something's going to come down the pipe with new technology that, like I said,
Mm-hmm.
batteries that will be super inferior, that will be able to charge within half hour and go more. But I mean, my belief was always that, look, if we come with the technology, we got to have a technology that's better than what we currently have.
Yeah.
And this technology is not better than what we currently have. So instead of taking a step forward, I feel like we'd be taking 2-3 steps backwards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if the batteries could be charged faster, if we were able to build an electric grid to support it, great. Sounds good. Less emissions, whatever. But again, are we really, with just building the batteries and then disposing of them when I think it's just trading one environmental issue for another. But, and aren't some of these northern states from getting electricity supplied from Canada, so we can't even support our own,
Correct.
like
I
Michigan.
believe parts of Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I know Illinois gets power from us because we have power all over the place here. I believe yes, some parts of Michigan and New York, I believe, are getting power from Canada. Correct.
Yeah, and I remember that was a big concern when Trump was kind of going back and forth with the Canadian Prime Minister, or both of them, which Trudeau or Carney, whichever one it was at the time. That they could just cut us off from electricity if we want to mess around with them too much, So it's like, well, maybe we should work on getting ourselves independent from other countries as
Correct.
far as
Keep
electricity goes
keep
first.
keeping our options open, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, houses. I was always a big supporter of making America energy independent,
Mm-hmm.
because I believe we were at one time, and then we kind of veered off. And the only reason I say that is, I mean, not to that I want to pollute the environment, but houses. Let's say there's a war or another COVID or a pandemic, something like this. I mean, I would sleep better at night knowing that, or America has enough energy to run
Yeah.
itself and take care of itself, that we don't have to rely on the Canadians or whoever. Uh, that would, I mean, I think that is a complete necessity to take care of the American people.
Yeah. Yeah. I do see that we're working towards making our own chips or whatever for
Correct.
whatever we're using them for, and then I'm trying to bring back pharmaceutical manufacturing here.
Yeah.
So I think those are great steps. But yeah, the electricity hasn't really been
Yeah.
addressed, which
And
is a bit scary.
I'm glad you brought up the chips, because we make a lot of trucks here in America. But
Mm-hmm.
when COVID happened, we were getting the semiconductor chips from China, from Korea. We had all the parts to put the trucks together. We could have put them together, but we didn't have the chip itself, which is like the main brain of the truck. So we could have built as many trucks, but they were all pretty much garbage because we didn't have the chips, because they were stuck in China or
Yeah.
Korea. We couldn't get any more, which was kind of scary, because I mean, and I'm glad we're building it here in the U.S. I mean, I really hope we learn from our mistakes, what has happened during the pandemic. We build a lot of
Yeah.
stuff here, but we get a lot of parts from other countries, and that really put a strain on us. I mean, and I believe that's one of the reasons the president is pushing to get more stuff done domestically, not just because he says so, but I mean, I think it would be good for the people of the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
to keep us independent.
Yeah. Absolutely. Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to tell you about my sponsors real quick. Sometimes I need a boost before my bike ride, but pounding an energy drink or coffee beforehand just isn't an option. What I love about Quantum Energy Squares is that they're made with 10 grams of plant protein and 100 milligrams of natural caffeine, equal to an 8-ounce cup of coffee. I get the boost I need without having to drink fluids that weigh me down or cause a pit stop during my ride. They have over 2,500 reviews with customers raving about their delicious flavors, like caramel almond sea salt and my favorite, dark chocolate pink Himalayan salt. My discount code gives you 25% off your entire order, and it's currently the best deal available. Just visit quantumsquares.com and enter in my promo code JADE, that's JADE, at checkout. Sometimes I get on a roll cleaning or gardening, and I need a boost but don't have time for a meal. Big Fork Brand's pork jerky is the perfect choice to keep my momentum, offering high-protein snacks for on-the-go energy boosts. Not only do they offer pork jerky, but they also make pork sticks, bacon sausage, bacon hot dogs, and burger and hot dog sauces. Products come in a variety of delicious flavors, including Thai green curry and maple and brown sugar for the meat options, and gangster and Chicago fire for the sauces. I personally think the original flavor of the pork jerky hits just right after tackling a big chore. It's a little salty and very flavorful. My discount code gives you 20% off your entire order, and it's currently the best deal available. Just visit bigforkbrands.com and enter in my promo code JADE, that's JADE, at checkout. Are you looking for a gift for a music lover, or maybe some apparel to show off your quirky side? Old Glory has you covered. With over 300,000 officially licensed items covering music, sports, entertainment, and pop culture, you're guaranteed to find the perfect item. They even have seasonal gear. My husband enjoys the Beatles and Led Zeppelin apparel, and I love the Billy Idol apparel. I even found items for my fellow plant enthusiasts. This family owned superstore is known for their quality and customer service, offers free standard shipping on all orders, and orders are shipped the same day you purchase. My discount code gives you 15% off your entire order, and it's currently the best deal available. Just visit oldglory.com and enter in my promo code JADE, that's JADE, at checkout. Yeah, I did not know until this year how much important things that we rely on that are made in China or different countries. Like, why was this happening in the first place? Especially the pharmaceuticals, but
It's
any of it.
it's crazy because you know, I mean, how's this? I was always told, oh, we only import like 15% of things from other countries, and that wasn't true when COVID happened. You know, what I mean,
Yeah.
I feel those numbers were not accurate because the
Yeah.
whole world shut down. I mean, I remember trailers. We couldn't buy no trailers. You know, we buy trailers here that are made in. They're called utility trailers. They're made in Salt Lake City and Virginia, and they said they get all their goods from from the U.S. But when
Yeah.
the world shut down, we found out that they get 15% of their aluminum from Russia, and obviously Russia was in a war and
Oh,
we're in a big
right.
trade war. We couldn't buy trailers, and then the aluminum that was coming in was being shuffled into trailers that Amazon was buying because Amazon decided to buy 10,000 trailers, so they were the number one customer. Everything was going to them. The rest of us truckers struggled, and I thought that
Yeah.
was very. I mean, how's this? That was not good for business and for the
Yeah.
independence of the American people.
Yeah. What was running a trucking business like over COVID? And
It was very difficult. It was very difficult
yeah.
because everybody was sheltering at home safe, and we were at work. I mean, it's crazy. I believe I caught COVID like 16 times, and I feel like I'm almost immune to it now because I've
Yeah.
had it so many times. It was difficult, and then at first people didn't understand, and they were on the news saying that, oh, truckers are the ones spreading COVID. You know what I mean? It was very bad for trucking industry because I
Yeah.
mean we had work to do. We had to work. Everybody stayed at home. Truckers would come to warehouses. They wouldn't let them in the building. They wouldn't use the washrooms. They closed down rest areas all over the U.S., which was, I did an interview on Fox about that because I was upset
Yeah.
about that because I have women truck drivers, and
Yeah.
where are they supposed to go? You know what I mean? Men could kind of go anywhere. You know what I mean? Men could just go between the truck and trailer, but you know what I mean? I have a lady truck drivers, and they closed the restrooms. That was a very, very bad idea. And
Yeah.
obviously, it took a long time before everybody figured out that truck drivers weren't the spreaders of the disease. You said, oh, it's coming from New York. Everybody from New York has COVID. Don't let no truck drivers here.
Right.
I mean, it was how's this? It was not the best time of humanity how we taught how we treated our truckers and essential workers, because they should have been treated with a little bit more respect.
Yeah.
But how about this? I hope we learn from our mistakes and we don't do something like that ever again. And shutting down the whole world was just a bad idea. We couldn't. I mean, it was just. And then when we shut down, we started back up. We struggled, and to be honest with you, we're still not back to pre-COVID conditions because of inflation.
Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of thinking about that, or have been here and there, that I don't feel like it's I just don't feel like we've caught up from pre-COVID for a lot of different reasons. But I had a gig with FedEx over COVID because they needed a lot of extra drivers, and I have a friend that runs a line, and I will always be happy I was in Iowa over COVID because I still got, dirty looks if I wasn't wearing a mask, even if I wasn't around anybody, like why do I I even as a FedEx driver, I didn't really come into contact with very many people unless they met me to grab their package. That's on them. I can set the package on your doorstep and go back to the truck. So, but I just don't think as many people really were afraid of COVID or
No,
cared as much.
there
But
was a lot of houses. There was a lot of hype in media, and I feel like I would say there's a lot of misinformation also
hmm
in the media because the masks are supposed to protect us, and then we found out the masks don't protect us, and everybody's
hmm
getting crazy about the mask. And they said, "Oh, everybody needs to get the vaccine. If you don't get the vaccine, you can't come out of your house." And then we found out, okay, well, the vaccine wasn't that affected as it should have been. So we were getting, it was one blow after another that was messing with the people. And
yeah,
I really hope that as Americans we'll remember this and learn from this, that we don't allow something like that to happen ever again.
yeah, yeah. I can't imagine what I would have done if the gas stations had closed for me to go to the bathroom at. Like, you're asking me to break the law then because I'm gonna pee in a field and I don't I don't know what are we
Yeah.
supposed to do?
I mean, trucking's a lifestyle. I mean, houses,
Yeah.
our trucks unfortunately don't have bathrooms in them, but
hmm
they have rest areas and truck stops, and then it's where truckers stop and to relieve themselves, and take a
Yeah.
break. Honestly,
Yeah.
from driving and shut
Yeah.
down, for that to happen, it was just craziness. I don't know. I could see that at the time it sounded like a good idea,
hmm
but it wasn't effective. I don't think it
Yeah.
did anything other than make a lot of truckers' lives miserable.
Yeah. Well, and then the check-ins, I once in a while I'd have to deliver to a hospital and it's like, now I got to go through the security check-in and get my temperature taken and answer a list of questions just to hand over this one box.
Mm.
And it's just, I don't know.
It was madness. We there were
hmm
certain warehouses here in here in Illinois and across the U.S. that they wouldn't let the truck driver come in the building. We had to
Yeah.
scan the bill of ladings to them. They would email them. The trucker would get there. They would call him. They put him in a door, and then he would back in the door. And then when he'd be done, they pull out the door, and then they would email us signed bill of lading. So they wanted no contact whatsoever with,
hmm
with the driver. And that was a little bit extreme. Everybody was acting like the truck drivers had the Ebola virus, and all they
Yeah.
were doing is trying to feed the American people.
Right. Right. That's the other thing too is during the lockdowns, people relied on truckers even more. And I like you had kind of said, I feel like they were treated the worst out of some of these people. And it's like, I'm trying to help you
Yeah.
live.
Everybody was sheltering safety at home, and truckers
hmm
ourselves and warehouse people, we had to go because we were feeding the people.
Yeah.
It was we didn't have the option to stay at home.
Yeah.
It caused a lot of business disruptions. It was not fun.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And just one more thing I always like to talk about.
Yeah.
Todd Spencer is the president of OOIDA. So OOIDA means for Owner Operator Independent Driver Association.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have one or truck, two trucks, you're owner operator, your own truck driver. You join this group of OOIDA, and they're a very helpful group. And how's this? Just to give you an idea. JKC was formed from my father was a owner operator too. Trucking companies are forged from owner operators. And Tom Spencer said, if you're talking about, you specifically talking about these EV mandates, he said, if you're talking about something that actually really does deliver benefits for all around, you don't have to
Uh-huh.
mandate stuff like that. People gravitate to it. They
Yes.
go after it and say, hey, I want it because it makes everything better. And he was making a reference
Yes.
is like, if they came up with better technology for truckers would gravitate. You wouldn't have to even mandate it. They would say, look, here's this new technology, embrace the truckers, and truckers would. And
Yeah.
he was very frustrated, and I feel his frustration that they were mandating this,
Yeah.
and that was that was not the road to go down, and a lot of truckers did not like that at all.
Yeah. Tesla, I think, does a good job of advertising their vehicles because I notice, well, I follow Elon Musk. I don't think I follow Tesla, but obviously Elon is going to
Correct.
repost some things. And
He's
he posts how they rate as far as safety, as far as longevity, stuff like that. So
mhm,
they really focus on like the pros of owning a Tesla. Obviously there's some cons with the charging and stuff like that, but
of course.
um it's hard to see the pros of an electric semi truck right now, I guess.
I mean, how's this? And I'm glad you bring up Tesla because how's this? You know, I mean, Tesla's a great car and it's come a long way, and
Hmm.
especially with Elon and pushing the technology, changing, evolving. You know, what I mean, how's this? Tesla, 10 years ago was like almost nothing, and now it's, there's multiple generations of Tesla, and they're getting better and better and better.
Hmm.
Uh, and Tesla did struggle. I mean, they struggled with a whole bunch of things until they worked the bugs out. I mean, could you only imagine when we roll this into the trucking industry, that would
Yeah.
be multiplied, times 10 the problems. It would take a very, very long time to work out those bugs because, the truckers need, number one, the truckers need an affordable technology, and that's
Hmm.
not going to be affordable. And how's this? I would say I would like a truck. I think the future of trucks is hybrid trucks, with two systems of power.
Yeah.
Uh, because how's this? Right now, when my diesel goes down, I'm dead in the water. If we had two systems of power, one shuts down or breaks, the other one continues. Truckers
Hmm.
need proven technology because, like I said earlier, because if the technology fails, the entire supply chain will be dead in the water. Failure is
Yeah.
not merely inconvenient; it's going to be catastrophic. This is not an option, especially for the food supply chain of America. I mean, I would love,
Yeah.
honestly, if they made a truck with three different power systems. So when we break down, we have two other backups to go because we're hauling fresh meat, perishables, produce. I mean, we need to keep the wheels rolling.
Hmm.
And because how's this? I mean, we've all gone to the store, bought some strawberries. They're the greatest at Costco. You pick up these beautiful strawberries, bring them home 2 days later, they're all moldy in
Yeah.
the refrigerators because the transit time was long.
Yeah.
And the produce is a commodity that is literally like ripening and rotting every
Hmm.
every moment.
Yeah. I I always think about the fruit's journey or vegetable, produce's journey to Iowa. So when I lived in Texas, I believe that the produce was so much better, and I'm assuming it's because it spent less time on the truck or less time in transportation. Um and there was just, I don't know, HEB's great.
You were closer to the source. I mean,
Hmm.
Texas also grows a lot of produce, but another thing
Hmm.
is that a lot of produce comes in through the Mexican border. I would say 34% of the produce that comes to America comes through that border. So you are getting the fresh stuff. Obviously, you're in Texas, so
Yeah.
everybody's coming through Texas. They come a little bit through Arizona and California, but Texas is the main jump through Laredo and those southern states. So yeah, you were very close to the farms, which yes,
Yeah.
it did make an impact.
Yeah. So on your produce trucks, do you have produce in different stages, or is it just one stop?
I mean, it all depends on the customers. I mean, certain times we'll have like a whole truckload of corn, a whole truckload of lettuce. Sometimes they'll mix it up. I mean, depends what the customer buys. I
Uh-huh.
mean, we could have all kinds of stuff. Sometimes we could have like five different things on a truck. Sometimes we just have oranges. Sometimes
Hmm.
we could have mangoes, avocados, lettuce. Depending what the customer and where what the need is of that
Yeah.
time. I mean, but they do try to buy in truckload quantities, but sometimes they'll be, look, there won't be truckload quantities, so they'll buy half a truck of
Okay.
this, half a truck of this, and then try to bring it all in one time.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I didn't know if they were like dropping off like, some here and some in the next state, but I suppose that would, if you're buying in large quantities, you could really only fit
And
one
we
out.
do, and we do also have drops along the way too. So, like, let's say we get loaded in Texas, and
Hmm.
we be dropping off in Missouri and then finishing up in Chicagoland, or we'll have our first drop in Chicagoland, and then we'll finish up somewhere in Wisconsin. So yeah,
Okay.
it's all driven by the customer and route driven too.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Um, so what I guess to me, what seems more reasonable with this is if instead of a mandate, incentives were offered for
Mm.
people to try and switch to electric, because then it's more on the choice of the company, and then they could say, oh, look, we're 100% EV, um and then if they have issues, that's kind of on them, but they've been given incentives to make the switch. I think that would make a lot more sense than possibly creating a disaster.
No, I agree. Incentives are a must give, but the question is, you know, I mean, how much incentives are they going to give? Because right now they're
Hmm.
saying, okay, there is incentives for going into their trucking industry to going electric, but I feel the incentive is this big, and the problem is that big.
Yeah.
So, you know, what I
Yeah.
mean, the problem is drivers are hesitant to jump into that. Who would take that
Hmm.
deal? I wouldn't take that deal. Any sane business person would be like, listen, this is not going to work.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, I guess like you said, I'd be much more likely to try a hybrid, and because I like my brother's electric vehicle. I don't know what, it's not a Tesla. I don't know what
Mhm.
it is, but, a Genesis? Is there like I don't know.
Yeah, I believe there's a
Anyways.
Genesis, correct?
Okay, I think that's what he has. And I like it. It's all right. I've driven electric golf carts. They're fine. I'd be willing to do a hybrid, but I would be being in Iowa, it would be impossible to do full electric. And then yeah, if something happens, then at least with your hybrid you can still use gas.
I mean,
But
I always assumed that, I mean, when we start making hybrid cars, that we're going to start making hybrid trucks. You know what I mean? And,
yeah.
you know, in Nikola, the other manufacturer of electric trucks, was supposed to do that. They were supposed to first make a natural gas generator that would run and charge the batteries. So it would be
Mhm.
a hybrid truck. You know what I mean? You would charge up the batteries and use the
Yeah.
generator to recharge them. Obviously, actually, I had money set aside to buy some of those hybrid trucks, but you know, I mean, Nikola is almost at the point of bankruptcy, and they had a great technology. They had a hybrid truck that they
Yeah.
wanted to roll out, and even you know that technology kind of fell apart. So the question is, you know, if you have a good technology that didn't work out, how's a full electric truck going to work?
Yeah. Yeah, so I see that, was it the mandate is 25% have to be electric by 2032?
Yeah, so that was the California mandate. So
Okay.
the mandate that was giving out was strictly by California, saying that you know they want to get it all. They want to stop selling diesels by like say I forget what the year was, some
Mhm.
2020 something like this, and then by 2035 they want to have all electric trucks on the road. And that timeline is a little bit too aggressive to me because of
Yeah.
this. I mean, I can't say that there's even a fleet that has like 100 electric trucks other than maybe like the little Amazon electric trucks that they have to deliver their packages, but that's completely
Yeah.
different than big rigs in the state of California. And then we get back to the problem, you know, the cost,
Yeah.
infrastructure, testing and data,
Yep.
you know, being down, range anxiety, which is my favorite. It's just I mean, we
Yeah.
have too many obstacles. I mean, how's this? Could it happen? Sure, it could happen, but we'd have to have like a huge jump in technology forward. We need like a miracle battery to come out with something that we could have, you know, 2, 3 batteries on there. That can go through
Mhm.
all the, you know, changes, the climate changes. Because when we go through these trucks, so we go through elevation, that affects the diesel trucks we have dealing with
Oh,
now.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'm curious, you know, how is it going to affect the electric trucks through the elevation? Uh,
Yeah.
because you know, all these things, you know, beat up the technology.
Yeah, and then it being California, you you have to have a grid that will support
Correct.
all those trucks. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me, I guess. Like,
I mean, I feel like the technology was just pushed in
mhm.
and nobody really thought about it. And now California is saying, hey, listen, I mean, we want to do this, but it's going to be almost impossible unless a miracle happens.
Yeah.
And they just realized that. I mean, truckers were saying this since the beginning that, and it is kind of funny because California was the only state to do it. I mean, I think
Mhm.
they were like the role model and everyone was supposed to follow. But I mean, none of the states like Illinois, New York, Arizona, none of the other Texas never followed.
Right.
Because I feel, you know, they thought about it a little bit more. They were there to jump the gun. I mean, I'm all like says I support green energy. I'm all for,
Mhm.
you know, doing the right thing, but at what cost? And
Yeah.
I feel they miscalculated.
Yeah. Yes. That's yeah, it seems uh, like I said earlier, a lot of these, environmental policies and mandates, I understand they're trying to accomplish something good,
Correct.
but the consequences are not balanced when they're making those decisions.
Correct. If we were hauling paper towels, that'd be a different story, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because if a
yeah.
truckload of paper towels doesn't get there, you mean how's this? We're just going to be frustrated. But if a truckload of food doesn't get there, now that's going to affect the supply chain. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
now they're saying that paper towels are not important, but it's going to be a different impact. And it's funny because when I was telling you earlier that the Tesla trucks, I think Pepsi was testing them in Northern California. They did 300 miles. I mean, how's this? If those trucks never got there, with those, or they were delayed with the Pepsi. I
Uh-huh.
mean, the people wouldn't be panicked. They'd be like, "Ah, well, we don't got a Pepsi. We'll just choose
Right.
another option. It'll be okay." But if we didn't get there with fresh bread, meat, cheese,
Yeah.
eggs, you know, deli meats, bacon, milk, etc.,
Yeah.
people would be panicked.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. They would. And then well, and then okay, so say you're having continued issues where the trucks are broken down, you're not getting the produce and that stuff is going to waste. That would then drive the cost of groceries up, correct?
Yeah, it would drive the cost up. It would, I mean, the supply would be even more scarce because we'd be, number one, we wouldn't be moving as fast as we are currently right now. We'd be
Mhm.
moving much slower, which would need more capacity to do it, which we don't have at currently. So yes, it would be, how's this? It's almost a negative in every aspect,
Yeah.
in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. So, what do you think the next few years are going to look like as
I
we
mean,
approach this?
like I said, the future of clean trucks, we get into it, electric trucks, like I said, too expensive, technology being passed through way too fast with
Hmm.
little testing data. I think hydrogen will replace diesel. If I was a betting man, my money's on hydrogen. But like I said earlier, truckers need an affordable hybrid truck with 2 systems of
Yeah.
power. Because if technology fails, the entire supply chain will be dead in the water, and we can't do that
Yeah.
for the American people. So
Yeah.
like a call to action would be like technology being passed way through is being pushed through way too fast, little testing data, and truckers
Hmm.
need affordable hybrid truck, you know,
Yeah.
to keep the wheels rolling.
Yeah. Get on it, Elon. Yeah, he left California, so maybe he'd be more interested in it. I could see him working on it though,
I mean,
if he
as
realized
this,
how big.
I'm a big fan of Elon.
Yeah.
He's a very smart guy. He's done a lot of with his life. I mean, the businesses he's built are just,
Yeah.
mind blowing. Where he started, where he's ended up. I mean, and where he's a. I mean, he's like Thomas Edison of our time.
Yeah.
And God knows where he's going to end up. He's got SpaceX. He's got all
Hmm.
the other technologies. I mean, where he's going to be in 10, 15 years.
No, I mean, I think that if anyone were to kind of save the trucking industry from this issue, it would be Elon. So
I would support it. I would listen to Elon.
yeah,
Elon has a lot of common sense and a very bright individual.
yeah, yeah. So once in a while he gets a little wacky and people start hating on him, but it's like everyone
That,
does that.
that's when you're when you're a creator like this, these things happen.
Yep.
It's a side
Yep.
effect.
Absolutely. So, yeah. All right. Is there anything else that you would like the audience to know today?
No, I think we've covered everything. I've
Yeah.
got everything off my notes. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I really appreciate you once again taking the time to be on.
Thank you for your support and having me on. I appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for being here.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Have a good
Bye.
day.
Bye.
Bye.